Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again today with another video. Today's video is going to be kind of disorganized. I don't have a super set topic that I want to go through or like a set of points that I have written out. Mainly, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about AllStar voting, hating on players, just kind of some things I wanted to talk about because these are things I can't really go into on detail on Twitter. So this won't be super organized. It's probably going to be pretty rambly. I might repeat a couple things, so just giving you a heads up in advance. Like I said, the main thing I want to talk about is the All-Star voting. They released the All-Star votes so far tonight, earlier today. I woke up about right when they were posted, and as soon as I woke up and looked at them, I already knew what was going to happen, and it did happen. People were not fans. There was a couple things that are questionable, I guess is the word you could use for it. For example, you've got Alex Caruso, which is the big one people were mad about. He was in the top 10 of the Western Conference backcourt voting, ahead of guys like SGA, my favorite player, De'Aaron Fox, you could also throw in there. So he was ahead of some guys that he shouldn't be ahead of. Obviously, if you watch basketball, you should probably know this, or if you watch enough basketball, you should know this. It just doesn't make sense. You've also got like Klay Thompson in there, who has not played a game this season. He isn't going to play a game this season. You could also throw in Carmelo Anthony in the Western Conference frontcourt voting. He's also top 10. He's just not an all-star anymore. So there's just some things people are upset about, and I get it. Like, you don't want to see your favorite player or players that you believe are very deserving of this recognition get left off because people thought it would be funny to vote for the bald man on the Lakers. I get it. But also at the same time, you have to understand that most of the people watching basketball are casual fans. If you're on this channel, you're probably not as much of a casual fan. You're probably less so of one, because if you manage to follow me on Twitter, one, and then two, click on a tweet that I made about this video, and you came here and watched it, then you should probably like basketball at least a little bit more than a casual fan. Or if you found this channel through just searching at basketball topics, then you probably are also not a casual fan because you're looking to look more into basketball rather than just like watching a game or like just looking at Twitter. So if you're on this channel, probably not that much of a casual. That being said, being a casual is not a bad thing. Not everyone has a lot of time to commit to watching basketball. Not everyone's as passionate about maybe you or me are. As for me, I watch every single Thunder game. I watch a lot of other games. Right when the NBA games start, I have an NBA game on all times just because it's my favorite thing to entertain myself with. I love basketball, love the sport, love the NBA. I really like talking about it, and so I just, spend them doing it. But casual fans, they don't have a lot of time. They could be working during games. They just don't have time. They only watch their favorite team's games. They're not on Twitter keeping up with stats and stuff. If you're not on Twitter, it's very difficult to keep track of a lot of these stats because stats change every single day. A ton of teams play every day. And the way that the games are run, which I kind of hate, is that all the games or most of the games are on at once. And so you can't watch them all. So unless you're paying attention to box scores throughout the games, or you have like two monitors set up, or you just have like one on your phone, one on your computer, whatever, you can't watch all the games. You can't. So that opens up the problem where a lot of people aren't as educated on other teams' players. I guarantee you if I asked a bunch of casual fans who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, they would have no clue who I'm talking about. And if you're on this channel, you either follow me on Twitter or you can just look at my YouTube profile picture, you know who he is. And I personally believe he is deserving an all-star spot. But the casual fan's not going to look at that name and be like, oh, I recognize that name. They're going to look for the player in either the Lakers colors because that's a team they know or it's their favorite team. And they're going to see that Alex Caruso is a balding white guy that plays basketball. And they're going to be like, I want to vote for him for the All-Star game. Or they just see the Lakers tweet out, hey, vote for Alex Caruso. And so they retweet it. That's a vote. So Alex Caruso, don't hate on him for getting the votes. It's because of casual fans. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be a casual fan. Sometimes it's uncontrollable. And people enjoy basketball for different reasons. People enjoy the NBA for various, they enjoy it at various levels. So you can't be mad at someone for voting for a player just because they like the player. Like, it's going to happen. With that being said, All-Star voting's trash. It's just not important. It's really just not even that important. If you know how the All-Star game format works, it is fan voting is partially factor in deciding the starters for the game, but also player voting and coaches voting are also factors in the starters. So the guys that get the starters are most likely going to be the most deserving guys. And if a guy doesn't get to be an all-star starter, like he just barely misses the cut, he's going to be a reserve. So it's not the end of the world if a guy doesn't get to be a starter like you think he should. I mean, it's like a different level of recognition. You might want him to get that recognition where he is an all-star starter and he has that under his resume. It's not the end of the world. what fan voting would really matter in is if it decided the bench, because the bench is where you could have problems where, oh, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my favorite player, I think he should make it, but there's this guy in the lake, but like, say, like, for example, Alex Caruso, so we could talk about, I promise this video is not directed at Lakers fans, because there is, like, Carmelo Anthony is up there because he's a big name and stuff. He's just an easy example for me to use because he's a guard fitting with SGA. So say, for example, you go on the NBA website, you're like, or not, so say a fan's going on the NBA website and they're like, oh, I want to vote for Alex Caruso. They vote for him a lot. That ends up putting him over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't get to be an all-star because of Alex Caruso. That would be upsetting. But fan voting 1 does not matter for the bench. It just doesn't. It doesn't affect it at all. The bench is all picked by coaches. So if you're upset that your favorite player's behind Alex Caruso, it's whatever. It's really not going to matter because Alex Caruso is not going to be a starter, and I guarantee he's not going to end up on the bench either because the coaches aren't going to put him there. So it just really doesn't matter. And additionally, like if they're putting up equal, like similar stats, then it happens. He would pass him, but he's not putting up similar stats to any of the guys that he could potentially take a spot from. He's not going to take a spot, like I said, because the coaches aren't going to put him there. But it's just stats aren't there. So you don't need to worry about that. Like, the voting isn't going to matter. Like, obviously, is it upsetting that your player isn't getting a lot of recognition? Yeah, I feel that. I want SGA to get more recognition because I think he deserves it. I think he's having a great season. Unfortunately, he plays in Oklahoma City. It's just the nature of small markets, so it's going to happen. Also with that is, don't hate Alex Caruso for getting these votes. Alex Caruso is not out there on the corner of wherever, like New York City or in LA or wherever he is at the time, handing out flyers being like, yo, vote for me. I'm short, I'm bald, I play basketball, vote for me, it's funny. Like, Alex Caruso isn't out there doing that. And so you can't get mad at Alex Caruso or hate Alex Caruso because he's getting these votes. You can dislike that people are voting for him. You can dislike the people that are voting for him because you can think that they're not taking this seriously or whatever you want to say. Okay, I guess. You could be mad at the Lakers for marketing him, but don't be mad at Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is just playing basketball. It's his job. And that kind of goes into the whole concept of disliking players. I'm someone who personally does not hate any players. I don't like, there are players I like more than others. I obviously like a lot of Thunder guys more. I like Russell Westbrook because he's my favorite player of all time. I like Chris Paul because he just played for the Thunder. I like previous Thunder guys. I like Devin Booker a lot. I just like watching him play. I like Bradley Beal, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James. Those are examples of players I really, really like. They're players I might not like as much, but that's just because I don't watch them as much or I'm not as attracted to their style of play. It happens. Hating players is like a different level of that. Hating players means you like despise watching them play, or you just always want to see that player lose. And I feel like that's just not fun. A couple years ago, I might have hated players. For example, Kevin Durant, he left the Thunder for the Warriors. I hate that decision. I can't hate him as a player because he's still a super fun player to watch. A couple years ago, I probably did hate Kevin Durant. I can't honestly remember. I probably did hate Kevin Durant just because I was diehard Thunder fan. He left to our biggest rival at the time. He screwed over my favorite player of all time, Russell Westbrook. Hated it. Pissed me off. But now, like, I don't hate Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant makes a shot over someone, he like hits a pull-up three, I'm gonna be like, damn, that was really impressive. Or wow, that was a crazy shot. If he throws down a dunk over someone, be like, wow, Kevin Durant just dunked on that guy. Another example you could talk about is James Harden, a guy who has beaten the Thunder a couple times in the playoffs now, and a guy who we traded away. I could hate him for being successful now and not having been successful here. I could hate him for knocking out the Thunder a couple times, but that's just not fun. James Harden's really fun to watch. He's one of the greatest scorers of all time. And so I like seeing the Thunder go up against him. And even if we lose to him, I'm like, ah, damn, he's really, really good. This Thunder team's progressing because they gave James Harden some struggles, whatever. That's really the case with Lou Dort. Even though we lost last season, I was like, damn, we really gave one of the best players of all time and a team that a lot of people consider us underdogs to a great fight. I would have loved to win that series. It would have made me way happier if we won that series. But losing that series doesn't make me go like, damn, I hate James Harden. Or like, I hate Russell Westbrook now because he beat us. Like, your team's going to lose. No team is perfect. No player is perfect. It's just going to happen. And a lot of reason that I feel like people hate players is because they beat or make their favorite player not look perfect a lot of the times. A great example I can talk about of this is last night when Lou Dort locked down LeBron James in like the last 20 seconds of overtime, and he forced LeBron James to airball on a clutch shot. LeBron James ended up the next possession getting a steal to seal the game. Awesome play. Lakers deserved to get that win because LeBron made the play when it mattered most. Happens. But I was like, damn, that lockdown defense by Lou Dort was amazing. As a player that I personally believe is already reaching an all defensive caliber, I want to get it out there and want to show other people like that Lou Dort exists, because a lot of people, I guarantee you, those casual fans we talked about, don't know who the hell Lou Dort is. They would have no idea who that name is. And so I want to get it out there. I want to tell people, I want to show people that, wow, one of my favorite players made this awesome play. So I tweet about it, and Lakers fans, or not all Lakers fans, I'm not generalizing them at all, because there's good and bad in every single fan base, even the Thunder fan base, which I think there's a lot of good. Guarantee you there's some bad people. In fact, I know there are. So when I tweet this out, a lot of Lakers fans were like, oh, well, first, I guess I'll give you the full context of the tweet. The tweet said that Lou Dort is only 21 years old, undrafted, second year, already playing all defensive level defense on a player like LeBron James and forcing him to airball. So I was like, cool, all praising my guy. Lakers fans come in there and they're like, you forgot to mention that LeBron is 36, or that you forgot to mention that LeBron made the play afterwards to win the game, or that you forgot to mention that you lost. Like, that doesn't have a spot in the tweet. The tweet is to highlight the great defense of Luke and Dort. It's obvious we lost the game. Because if we had won the game, I would have said Lou Dort locked up LeBron James and ended up sealing the game, whatever, right? It was obviously we lost the game. Like, people know. People follow the Lakers, they're going to know we lost. So that doesn't matter. And also, adding LeBron being 36 doesn't matter. He's still one of the best players in the entire NBA. In fact, in my opinion, he still is the best player in the entire NBA. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest players of all time. And he's a top 2, top 3 MVP candidate. So what is the point of me saying that he's 36 years old? Like, what does that do? It just discredits Dort, who played great defense. There's no reason to discredit. It could have been great defense on, I don't know, like, now I'm trying to think of someone. It would be great defense on, for example, say a Carmelo Anthony, who I talked about earlier, is a Carmelo Anthony is like an all-time great, but he's not as good now. So I could say that Dort locked up Melo, and I would still be super happy about that. It was just cool because it was the best player in the NBA that Lou Dort played great defense on, forced the airball, because LeBron James doesn't airball very much. So it was cool to see. But people were so quick to try and discredit Lou Dort that it was just unbelievable to watch. People were tweeting like, oh, Lou Dort's trying so hard, like he's not paid millions of dollars to win basketball games. Basically, the point of this is that just enjoy greatness. Greatness is so fun to watch, and I feel like it kills it when you discredit it. Watching games and trying to, like, looking at things to try and discredit, like, if I watched the game and I was like, oh, LeBron airballed that shot, he can't be the GOAT anymore, like, that would soak so much fun out of the basketball, rather than being like, oh, this young up-and-coming guy played great defense on one of, if not the greatest players of all time in the final 20 seconds of overtime. Like, why is that so hard to say? If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got locked up by a guy like, say, for example, we could talk about a Drew Holiday, a great defender. If Shai got locked up by Drew Holiday on a possession, I'd be like, damn, Drew just played great defense on SGA. Because it's fun to appreciate that. I know how good SGA is, so I know how good a defense has to be to lock up that guy. So I'm more likely to give credit to a guy who locks up my favorite player, because that's awesome to watch. That I know how good SGA is, so I know how good the defense by Drew Holiday had to be. Unfortunately, it was not the same with LeBron and Lou Dort last night, where people were like, oh, he's so overrated. LeBron missed a shot because LeBron missed a shot. Dort didn't do anything. But anyways, this is just a little mini rant. I don't even know what this video is. I'm going to title it. I guess I'm just going to probably title it something about like All-Star Voting's dumb. And the way this ties back to it, the All-Star Voting thing is, don't hate players because they're getting All-Star votes. Alex Caruso is a really fun player to watch. He's a really good player in his role in Los Angeles. I'm not going to hate on Alex Caruso because he's above SGA. It's fan voting. It doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't. So I'm not going to hate on him. I'm still going to be a fan of his, enjoy watching him play. And yeah, like I said, sorry, this video was a little rambly. I kind of just want to talk about some stuff that I can't really talk about on Twitter, or I couldn't really figure out a way to fit in another video. So I don't know how this video is going to even do views-wise, but I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. Shout out to Lakers fans. Most Lakers fans were awesome last night after we played the game. They gave us credit. They're like, damn, y'all are going to be so good in a couple years. And I was like, thanks. Good luck. Go win the chip. I'd love to see them repeat. That would be cool to see. So there's no ill will towards Lakers fans. There's no ill will towards any fans. Every fan base has some good, has some bad. Yeah. So with that being said, I guess I'll see you guys later. Everyone say it back.